Understand that stimuli are often wired inversely in the informatic world compared to the physical world. Good day and welcome to the show. My name's Nichols. So when you think about it, in the physical world, there are these dangers. There are real dangers that can be life-threatening. Beasts that we might have to hunt and stalk back in the old world. And these are real dangers, and we should rightly be afraid of them. We should rightly run from them. We should rightly hide from them. That is the way it should be in the physical world in many cases, especially that primitive physical world. But the informatic world is different now. It's a different world completely. Those dangers do not exist. Instead, it seems like in the informatic world, we should seek out that feeling of danger that we should definitely try and avoid in the physical world, because we can, it's dangerous to us physically. But in the informatic world, that danger is actually what causes us to transform. It's almost like this acting out this pantomime of death and rebirth of ourselves. If we're willing to face some sort of informatic mortal danger and somehow our ego disappears or dies or something happens, and we essentially go through this process of painful growth and transformation every single day as we attack this informatic world challenges that feels almost as if they're mortally dangerous. So it is an odd thing to need to seek out the very thing that in the physical world you probably should avoid, the beasts that you may avoid in the physical world, or at least be very, very prepared for and very cautious about attacking. So this is the issue, is that what happens if we need to then understand that our incentives, our feelings, our thoughts, our kind of stimuli are somewhat inverse in the physical world versus the informatic world. So what we are is that when we take a controlled and managed risk, especially in the informatic world, that is where we need to be. It feels strange, it feels a little bit odd, it feels wrong because we are having that feeling of personal danger. The truth is, in the informatic world, that doesn't exist. That's an illusion, and part of being a modern human is understanding that in some ways those stimuli are no longer relevant. The worst thing, the most damaging thing, is when you don't attack what seems like mortal fears in the informatic world. You become anxious and afraid, and that then affects your life. You don't become successful in your career, and you feel anxious all the time because you're not able to push beyond your boundaries, and you get trapped in a dead-end job, and all sorts of things happen if you don't confront the mortal fear that you have in the informatic world. And to some extent, you can see this replicated by sort of extreme sports, where people are willing to take managed risks that feel existential. In some ways, they are real risks, but they're so carefully managed that the feeling of risk is far greater than the actual risk itself. And again, that's some way of getting around that wiring that we always want to avoid mortal danger. So it is on the edge of performance where we have this managed, insignificant, or not even real risk. That is a moment. This is the only place where progress can ever really be made. This is in fact the only path there is. Even though your mind will often tell you that there are alternatives, there are no alternatives other than facing the fears that you have and managing the risk to make it either insignificant or make it in some ways non-existent, because it's an informatic risk. This is our privilege and pleasure. This is our privilege and perhaps even responsibility that we have in the informatic technological world. The fact that we don't always have to take mortal risks, we can significantly reduce these risks and in some ways eliminate them entirely by acting out these fears and these dangers and these challenges in the informatic world rather than the real world. All right, well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.